All right, folks, what is going on? Welcome to the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. This is episode 391, and we're going to finish off the week talking some Atlanta Falcons football. Gave Georgia Southern a lot of love throughout the week and talked a little bit about Atlanta Falcons, but just saw this article about Dean Pease, and one thing I wanted to talk about as far as, just the Falcons in general is like the defense, because defense win championships, and not only that, the defense should be improved with all the acquisitions we made. And Dean Pease only used 60% of the playbook last year, and he plans to use 100% this year. So it's going to be pretty interesting on how I look into this, and I think it's going to be really interesting on just reading on this, and I want to give you my thoughts and opinions on that. If this is your first time here, welcome. This is the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. I can be found on YouTube, Rumble, also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. And thank you guys for all the support. You guys have been amazing so far, just throughout this entire off season. I mean, all the support that you guys been showing, and all the attention you guys been, bringing, to the show. I cannot thank you guys enough. So let's go ahead and get into this. We're 9 episodes away from 400. That's pretty cool. And like I said, man, it's just awesome. Let's get into this once again. First of all, if you see the picture on the screen, I like that hat by Dean Pease. I need to find a way to get one of those. And I actually like the hoodie too, but that hat is really, really nice. According to Pro Football Talk, Dean Pease only ran 60% of the defense last year. He plans on to use up to 100 this year. I'm going to read what it says. The link to this article will be down in the description of any of the platforms that you're listening or watching on, so you can go back and look at it yourself. The Falcons ranked near the bottom of the league in defense metrics last season, and the defensive coordinator, Dean Pease, I believe a part of the reason for that because the team wasn't running the full scheme. Now, I'm going to stop right there. There's been many instances where Dean Pease was on record saying that he cannot run his entire defense the way he wants to because of the personnel that he had. I think when what's his name, Isaiah Oliver went down, I think he had a couple of other injuries. We didn't have that many, but you had a couple injuries that kind of stymied what Dean Pease wanted to do. I think Isaiah Oliver was one of the main injuries that we had last year that kind of messed things up, because Isaiah Oliver was able to play really well in the nickel, which kind of opened up a lot of things as far as other guys in the secondary that were going to blitz, because in the beginning, Dean Pease wanted everybody. If you were on defense, you was going to blitz at some time, but you got to have the personnel to do so. And if you don't have a solid nickel corner, or if you just don't have a solid, you don't have solid corners in general, you cannot free another person up to, blitz out of the secondary. So that was one of a few other situations where we just we were not able to run the defense like we could have. So that was a part of it. Dean Pease was hired. I'm getting back to the article. Dean Pease was hired by the Falcons after they named Arthur Smith as their head coach last year, and said, yeah, he felt they were going to do some things last year. We were probably going to, hold on, this is read wrong. There were some things last year that we were probably going to be able to digest and be able to do. As a result of the short time everyone had to learn the defense, the Falcons brought in a number of new faces on defense last year, but Dean Pease believed we can add a lot more and be a little bit more aggressive this time around. This is exactly what I was saying. Now he brought in more personnel, and they brought in more personnel, and now they'll be able to do a little bit more. But at the time, they brought a bunch of new faces, and they thought that, they're going to be able to do something, but they had to learn the defense. But not only that, like I said, all of our cornerbacks just was not fit to run it like they wanted to. So, I mean, I remember like in preseason, we had a few times where some cornerbacks were blitzing, and it was a couple of players that actually looked pretty good. But as the season went on, you realize who could do what and who was available, and the pass rush on a defensive line wasn't even prominent. So even with that being said, you can't free up other guys to blitz everywhere like Dean Pease wanted to. But now this time around, he said they could believe they could be a little bit more aggressive. Dean P said, I kind of know that guys are back. I kind of know that the guys that are back kind of know what to expect. You know what we're really looking for. Last year, I say we put in at the end of the year maybe 60% of the defense that we really wanted to run. This year is going to be 100%. The Falcons was able to go 7-10 beside the shortcomings, yada yada yada. You already know how that goes. That has nothing to do with what I was talking about. But like you said, guys that are coming back, okay, that's cool. Those guys are going to be knowing. Now you got new guys that's going to be in, and I think they're going to be able to do pretty good with this defense because the guys on defense that we picked up are pure athletes. Evan Kete, Rashad Evans already know the defense. You got guys like Troy Anderson. I mean, that kid can do everything. I wouldn't be surprised you see him punting or something. It's just he could do a lot. And then you end up getting Casey Hayward. Like he pulls a lot of guys into this team. Well, he didn't, but the front office pulled a lot of guys into the defense. And when he said he wants to go 100%, I think that this now you'll be able to do so. Then you have Isaiah Oliver coming back. You have other guys that are going to be ready to go. We just signed like 2 or 3 more defensive tackles. You still had a handful of linebackers, and I don't even need to talk about AJ Terrell. He's going to be fine where he is. The main thing is I just want to see how this defense is going to be implemented properly when it gets to 100%. I want to know if they'll be able to do that because when you look at the scheme of things, Dean Pease's defense is not necessarily overly complicated, but you just need the right personnel to run this defense. You need some athletes. You need some guys that are going to be big, fast, and strong. You're going to need some guys that can hit some people. You need some people that can tackle. You need some corners that can cover, because if you get corners that can cover, you will be able to free up some of these defensive backs that can go in and go into blitz. You know what I mean? You're going to need some linebackers that could cover a little bit. So sometimes that linebacker is going to have to, switch out to cover while somebody else goes in to try to get to the quarterback. So it is that type of defense that Dean Pease tries to run. And like I said, the only time I really seen it really work last year was mostly in the preseason. It was mostly the preseason where you seen a lot of these plays that was ran the way that he wanted to run them. Now, I wanted to talk about like outside of the Dolphins game, because I remember the Dolphins game on in preseason. I mean, I think they left all their starters in for like 3 quarters, something like that. So it was kind of weird how that played out. I mean, we ended up beating them in the regular season, but nevertheless, it's a different story for another day. It was really weird how that played out. But when you're talking about opening up 40% more of the playbook, you got to understand it's almost half of the playbook that just wasn't really used. And Dean Pease already said it to an extent, like it could not have been used because of the personnel just wasn't there. You just have that situation where these guys just weren't able to be in a position. I remember one time I was in a press conference, and I don't know if it was the infamous press conference Dean Pease had where he went off, but I remember it was one press conference that he said that, you just can't run certain plays because the guys either are not ready or they just aren't able to they just don't have the personnel. You just can't run it because the guys that's not in the position to do something. So at the end of the day, when you get all these guys back, or when you add new players or new pieces or new personnel, you add more things to the scheme, then you'll be able to say, hey, now we can run this way. Now we can run it that way. Now we're going to be able to put things in place to disguise and, manipulate and, confuse defenses. And I think that right there is a big boost to what we can do defensively. Because like I said, at the end of the day, the defense, I don't care what anybody says, the defense wins games for you. Everybody want to say offense. It sounds good, but I'll say 85% of the time, defense win games for you. And I will always lean on that. Now this is this is an offensive driven league, which it will bode well for a defense to be really good, because if your defense is good and can stop offenses, you already got the battle won over pretty much every team in the league, because everybody wants to score a lot of points, The league wants teams to score a lot of points. Now, if you just have a defense that can stop another team from scoring points, you can go a long way. I mean, you just look at the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl was pretty tight until the end, where and all of a sudden everybody was trying to score points. Same thing with when the Rams played the Buccaneers. Or you look at any other game pretty much in the season, you don't see like defensive battles. You don't see defensive struggles. You're going to see teams that's constantly trying to score points. If you can, and I said this earlier, I said this on Twitter like 3-4 months ago. If you're able, if you're able to stop a team and you're able to hold them up to 2 scores, maybe 3, and that's saying maybe 3. But I'm saying if you hold a team to 2 scores, you're going to win, probably 12 games. A lot of these teams that are winning 12, 13 games, they're basically outscoring teams now. Now, you have some teams that have some pretty decent guys on defense. I'm not saying there's no defense out there at all, because some teams do play defense. But most of the time, you don't see too many teams that are averaging, 12, 14 points giving up a game. That's almost unheard of nowadays because of the offense is so good. But if you can get a team that can give up 2 to 3 scores, I think you're going to be in really good shape to win football games. And I think with Dean Pease, his intellect when it comes to defense can make that happen, but he's going to need the personnel. And if you don't have the personnel, you're going to end up in a situation where you're running 60% of your defense. You're going to be in a situation where you can't run certain plays. And some of these plays may be really good, and some of these plays may be really helpful when it comes against, certain offenses. But if you don't have the personnel, the play is just going to fall apart. The plays are just not going to work. If you don't have the guys with the acumen and the intellect to understand the defensive plays, these guys are going to be out of position. These guys aren't going to be able to, execute the game plan the way that Dean Pease, and even on offense, even Arthur Smith on offense and his offensive coordinating, you may not be able to do that. So it's really all onto the personnel at the end of the day. Can the personnel go on the field and implement 100% of the playbook? Because Dean Pease is there. He's ready to. I know Dean Pease has been ready to put it out there from day one. But last year, with everything that's been going on, he realized some guys on the team just could not handle it. They could not run it. They didn't understand it, and they had to simplify and take out 40% of the defense. So now he feels that, based on this article from Pro Football Talk, they're going to be able to run up to 100%. And I think they'll be able to. Once again, before I get out of here, I will say, when you bring in an Ebikete, Grady Jarrett is still here. You got other defensive tackles that are coming in to play. Ogun Deje's maybe he'll be on the other side. Rashad Evans, Troy Anderson, Deion Jones. You got some pretty good linebackers, to be honest with you. There's some guys I haven't even mentioned. Michael Walker, for instance. You got guys that can play, the linebacker position. And you turn around, you got these other guys that are playing in the secondary. He might be able to do this. He may be able to pull. And you know what? I will also say, if it's not 100%, I'll say it'll be at least 90. I think he'll be able to implement 90. So that's going to be really interesting. Really interesting to see. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It's Friday, everybody. Enjoy your Friday. Find something to do with your friends or family, or hell, even with yourself. Go out and do something. Enjoy the weekend. We all do things throughout the week. We always running around, finding things to do, make money, work. Some of us are in school. Find something to do, fall back, and enjoy the weekend. If you haven't already, go ahead and click those links to YouTube, Rumble, Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple or Google Podcasts. Subscribe and Also, down in the description and other avenues, as far as all my links and everything, you can go there. And if you want to support and donate to the channel or the podcast, that helps. We're growing, and it's all because of you guys. You guys make this go. I can sit here and talk to myself all day, but you guys come and listen. So I'm talking to you guys, and it just makes it all worthwhile. It makes me want to continue to do this podcast. I can't thank you guys enough. I'm going to get up out of here. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend or the beginning of your weekend, and I'll see you guys on Monday. All right, y'all. Y'all take it easy. Y'all be blessed. Peace.